The rise of American debt, how it will impact our future. America entered this crisis with $23 trillion in national debt and trillion-dollar annual deficits growing as far as the eye can see. Having large and growing deficits during a strong economy is the definition of fiscal irresponsibility. Borrowing excessively in good times represents immoral injustice, which diminishes future prospects for the next generation. The COVID crisis has only made an already unsustainable situation much worse. Now, our national debt has surpassed $27 trillion. Prior to the pandemic, our public debt was on a path to exceed the size of our entire economy in 10 years, but now we have already reached this unfortunate milestone. At the same time, our nation has suffered considerable economic damage, with millions out of work and steep declines in growth and opportunity. We should go full steam ahead to beat this virus once and for all. It is critical to resolve the health crisis and restore our economy. But when this crisis is over, we must come to terms with our lack of national preparedness and inability to effectively manage our federal finances. In the same way that some members of Congress continue to be preoccupied with the nation's debt of more than $34 trillion, polling has shown that the citizens of the United States have also become more concerned about the balance sheet of the country. Even though Washington is bitterly split on how to address the nation's deficits, there has been some movement among Republicans in the House of Representatives for the establishment of a special commission to investigate ways to improve the fiscal trajectory of the country. Concerns about changes to important programs that senior citizens rely on, such as Social Security and Medicare, have been stoked as a result of these efforts. The possible implications of increasing debt, however, might affect every single American, according to experts. Higher interest rates, because it is anticipated that the national debt will surpass $54 trillion within the next 10 years. Analysts have expressed concern regarding the increase in interest rates. According to Desmond Lackman, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, a conservative think tank, if the government is borrowing money, you need to raise a lot of money, so it means I've got to sell a lot of bonds, which forces interest rates higher. This statement was made in an interview. He stated that if interest rates in general are higher, then your mortgage rates will also be higher. The Federal Reserve has also increased interest rates on multiple occasions to combat inflation. This is significant for young people because they are not currently participating in the housing market, he went on to say. They are the ones who are going to have to go out and borrow money now at a very high interest rate, the speaker said. They are not sitting on a house that has a mortgage that has been paid off. As stated in a report that was released in February, the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, forecasted that the amount of debt that the general population carries will considerably increase over the following decade, increasing from 99% of GDP in 2024 to 116% in 2034. A neutral budget scorekeeper also calculated that the net interest costs in 2025 would be greater about GDP than at any point since at least 1940, the first year for which the Office of Management and Budget reports such data. This was the first year for which such data was reported by the Office of Management and Budget. The labor job market, a rising national debt, according to the opinions of experts, might affect the labor market. According to David Wilcox, a senior scholar at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, it is inevitable that interest rates will increase in proportion to the level of debt. Higher interest rates tend to deter businesses from investing in new capital, and there is a correlation between capital and increased worker productivity. A higher level of debt would tend to be associated with an economy that is modestly less productive, he said. And therefore, in kind of a mild version of a Dune loop, a less productive economy can support a smaller amount of federal debt. It was referred to as a Dune loop. Many analysts believe that an increase in the national debt might also affect the job market if interest rates were to rise at the same time. However, they also point out that employment in fields such as home building and construction, which are sometimes more sensitive to interest rates, could be affected. When interest rates go up, people's mortgages cost more, and as a result, generally fewer houses get built, said Joshua Gottbaum, a guest scholar in economic studies at the Brookings Institution, a think tank that leans to the left. Gottbaum made this statement in an interview. The decisions that the federal government makes regarding what and how much money to eliminate from spending could potentially have an impact on employment, according to Gottbaum. Because every dollar that leaves the federal government is considered to represent economic activity, the more significant problem is the possibility that it will reduce spending. It is paid to a particular individual, he stated. Let's say that for the federal government to pay off its debt, it reduces the amount of subsidies it gives to farmers. This would mean that some farmers would plant fewer crops, while others would continue to do so, and other farms would be shut down. Reductions in vital programs. As Congress works to address the deficits that the country is experiencing, the experts also explore the possibility that additional cuts to government expenditure will be implemented in the years to come. I think what Americans can expect to see is that over the next decade or two, politicians are very likely to have to make some painful choices, Wilcox said. These options might include potential adjustments on the expenditure side of the budget. To address the issue of the national debt, MPs have proposed several different solutions, one of which is to continue to reduce spending. These solutions include recommendations to further restrict annual spending beyond the budget restrictions pact that was agreed the previous year. At the time, analysts from the federal government estimated that the proposal, which was given the name the Fiscal Responsibility Act, was expected to reduce the nation's future deficits by more than $1 trillion over the following 10 years. As part of an effort to reduce expenditure, conservatives have advocated for more stringent restrictions to be placed on the process by which Congress drafts the 12 yearly bills that provide money for the government. However, even members of the same party have pointed out that a portion of annual spending, which includes financing for entitlement programs, is not subject to the annual process during the legislative session. In new reporting that was released this week, it was discovered that trust funds for Social Security and Medicare face risks to their solvency approximately 10 years from now. Officials from the Biden administration have stated that a better-than-predicted economic growth has helped push back the dates at which they will be depleted. What we will see with very high probability, for example, is the Social Security Trust Fund being exhausted sometime in the early 2030s, Wilcox said. This is something that we will see. A similar situation exists with the Medicare Trust Fund, which is depleted. The current state of the nation's finances will undoubtedly be moved to a much higher position on the national agenda as a result of the events that have transpired. Paying taxes, as Congress attempts to solve the issue of the national debt, experts believe that the United States of America may also see changes on the tax front. According to Gottbaum, the debt will increase if the federal government does not get its act together and begin charging sufficient amounts of taxes to cover what it wants to spend in programs, saying that this will cause the debt to increase. In his argument, he stated, if the debt goes up and the interest rate goes up, then the taxpayers at that time are going to be paying the bill. He went on to say, your parents avoided those bills because the Congress, instead of raising taxes to cover them, borrowed the money. On the other hand, a significant number of Republicans have steadfastly opposed tax increases across the board, whilst a significant number of Democrats have advocated for tax increases that target rich individuals and companies. The Republicans, on the other hand, have advocated for more severe cuts in spending, with a particular emphasis on social programs. Many Democrats, on the other hand, have resisted this proposal. David Walker, a former Comptroller General of the United States, stated in an interview that the truth is that younger people are going to pay more and get less based on our current fiscal path. Walker, who is currently serving on the advisory board of Main Street Economics, added at the same time they are going to face a lot tougher competition in a world that is becoming increasingly interconnected and interdependent. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. See you in the next video.